a whole virtual universe.
Let me take you on a trip.
Who throws a fridge? Son of a...
Welcome back. Today I'm showing you 11 sci-fi movies added on Netflix in 2025. From recent releases to some of the most iconic sci-fi films ever made. There's definitely something on this list you'll enjoy. And if you end up finding a good pick, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. The Electric State.
We all lost something after the rebellion.
Set in a broken, retro-futuristic America, we're dropped into a world where abandoned robots litter the landscape like forgotten memories of a failed future. At the center is Michelle, a young woman traveling across this empty country alongside a strange robot, driven by the hope of finding her missing brother. As she moves deeper into this fractured world, machines aren't just remnants of the past. They become obstacles, threats, and reminders of how far things have fallen. Technology promised connection and progress, but what's left behind is isolation and silence. The Electric State is a futuristic sci-fi about isolation, broken systems, and the emotional cost of a world that chose machines over people. Spectral.
Men just started falling. We need answers. Fast.
In a war-torn Eastern European city, a U.S. Special Forces unit is deployed to contain a conflict that suddenly turns unnatural when soldiers begin dying at the hands of invisible entities. What first appears to be a ghost story quickly becomes something else entirely as a scientist named Mark Klein is brought in to study the phenomenon, discovering that the enemy isn't supernatural but the result of a secret experiment gone wrong. As the city collapses into chaos and the rules of combat no longer apply, survival depends on understanding what these beings are and why they exist. Spectral is a sci-fi thriller where advanced research leaks into a real battlefield, turning a conventional war into something unrecognizable. Edge of Tomorrow.
The invasion will fail, along with every soldier you are sending.
In a near future where Earth is under siege by an alien force, humanity is locked in a war it is clearly losing. William Cage, an inexperienced officer with no combat background, is thrown into the front lines and killed within minutes, only to wake up and relive the same day again. Trapped in a relentless time loop, Cage is forced to die over and over, learning the rules of the battlefield through pain, memory, and repetition. As each reset strips away fear and hesitation, survival becomes a process of endurance rather than heroism, where progress is earned only through failure. Edge of Tomorrow is a tense sci-fi thriller about adaptation and resilience, where victory isn't achieved by strength alone, but by the willingness to learn, change, and keep going, no matter how many times you fall. The Great Flood.
행성 충돌이야? 그럼 사람이 다 죽어요?
In a world overtaken by catastrophic rising waters after an asteroid melts the Antarctic ice sheets, Earth is drowning and time is running out for humanity. Gu Anna, a scientist trapped with her young son Jai-in a high-rise apartment, is forced to climb through flooded corridors and collapsing floors just to stay alive. As panic spreads and the building slowly disappears beneath the water, a security officer named Hijo arrives with orders to get them to the roof, revealing that Anna's role may be tied to a larger effort beyond simple survival. The Great Flood is a sci-fi disaster story where endurance, sacrifice, and responsibility collide as the world disappears underwater. Ready Player One.
If you're watching this, I'm dead. I created a hidden object, an Easter egg.
In a crowded, near-future society on the brink of collapse, people escape reality by living inside a massive virtual universe. We follow Wade Watts, a teenager who spends most of his life inside this digital world, chasing freedom, identity, and a way out of the life he was born into. As the hunt inside the virtual space intensifies, the game turns into a battleground. Corporations, players, and entire armies collide as control over this world becomes more valuable than reality itself. What starts as an escape quickly becomes a fight over power, ownership, and who gets to decide the future. Ready Player One is a sci-fi adventure that captures a future where escape stops being a choice and slowly becomes the way people survive. Mickey, 17.
I'm sure you're used to it by now, but what's it feel like to die?
Even on my 17th go-around, I hate dying.
On a distant ice planet, a human colony survives by sending expendable workers into the most dangerous jobs, knowing they can be replaced when they die. Mickey Barnes signs up to escape his past, only to discover that his role is to be killed on lethal missions and reprinted each time with his memories intact so the work can continue. Each death is treated as routine as the colony pushes forward, reducing Mickey to a tool designed to fail and be rebuilt. When a mission goes wrong and one version of Mickey survives when he shouldn't, the system breaks, leaving 2 copies alive in a world that only allows 1. Mickey 17 is a sci-fi thriller that follows a man forced to confront what his life is worth in a system where he can be erased and replaced without consequence. District 9.
We're coming to you from the entrance of District 9, the refugee camp set up to separate aliens from the general population.
From producer Peter Jackson, the man behind The Lord of the Rings, Johannesburg is thrown into chaos when a massive alien ship stalls over the city, and its stranded occupants are forced into a fenced slum called District 9, turning a sci-fi premise into something disturbingly real. When a government agent named Wikus is exposed to alien technology, his body begins to change, forcing him to experience the cruelty of the system he once enforced. While District 9 doesn't have the biggest visual effects, fans love it because it feels honest. It uses aliens as a mirror, stand-ins for real people, quietly drawing parallels to segregation and the way cruelty becomes normal when it's institutionalized. Shot in real South African slums, the film takes on a raw, documentary quality, turning a simple sci-fi setup into something grounded, uncomfortable, and surprisingly human. The Martian.
It's space. It doesn't cooperate. I guarantee you that at some point, everything's gonna go south on you.
Set in the near future, a mission to Mars goes catastrophically wrong when a violent storm forces the crew to evacuate, leaving one astronaut behind and presumed dead. We follow Mark Watney, a botanist and engineer who wakes up alone on the surface of the planet, injured and cut off from Earth, with no rescue coming and no room for mistakes. As the reality of his situation sets in, survival becomes less about heroics and more about solving one problem at a time in an environment that was never meant to support human life. The Martian is a sci-fi survival story that turns intelligence, perseverance, and human ingenuity into the most powerful tools we have. Interstellar.
You're a well-educated man, Coop, and a trained pilot.
And an engineer.
The world doesn't need any more engineers.
On the prestigious #1 spot, Netflix surprised every sci-fi lover with one of the greatest films ever made. And my personal favorite, Interstellar, Christopher Nolan's masterpiece. We follow Cooper, a former pilot turned farmer living in a future where Earth is slowly becoming uninhabitable, forcing humanity to look beyond its own planet for survival. When a secret mission offers a chance to find a new home among the stars, Cooper is pushed into an impossible choice: leave his children behind or stay, and watch the world collapse. As the journey moves through distant planets, black holes, and warped time, the mission becomes about more than saving humanity. Interstellar turns space exploration into something deeply personal, where love, sacrifice, and time itself collide, and survival is measured not just by distance traveled, but by what we're willing to hold on to. Thank you for watching.